What if a baseball legend's greatest play wasn't on the field, but in a selfless act that cost him everything? In this episode of, we're diving into the final flight of Roberto Clemente, a story of courage, compassion, and a legacy that transcends the game. Let's travel back to an era of triumph and tragedy, immersing ourselves in a narrative that captures the heart of a true icon with every unforgettable detail carefully brought to life. It was the early 1960s, a time when baseball was more than just a sport. It was a cultural force that united communities and ignited rivalries across the American landscape, a symbol of resilience in the years following the Second World War. The post-war boom had transformed stadiums into roaring arenas, filled with passionate fans who lived for the crack of the bat and the thrill of a close game, while the Major League Baseball emerged as a battleground where legends were forged under the bright stadium lights. Into this dynamic world stepped Roberto Clemente, a young man hailing from the sun-drenched streets of Carolina, Puerto Rico, with a dream that stretched far beyond the shores of his island home. Born in 1934, he grew up in modest surroundings, playing on makeshift fields carved from dirt lots and fueled by dreams, his passion for the game burning brighter with every swing of his makeshift bat. His extraordinary talent soon caught the eye of keen scouts traveling through the Caribbean, and by 1955, he signed with the Pittsburgh Pirates, a team desperate for a spark of brilliance after years of struggle. With his powerful throwing arm, graceful batting stance, and an infectious enthusiasm that lit up the field, Clemente quickly became a standout player, breaking barriers as one of the first Latin American stars in a league often clouded by racial tensions, unspoken prejudices, and systemic challenges that tested his resolve. Clemente's journey was anything but a smooth ascent to glory. The 1950s and 60s were challenging decades for players of color, and Clemente encountered his share of adversity with unwavering determination. Some teammates and opponents mocked his Puerto Rican accent, a subtle yet cutting form of discrimination that stung deeply, while the press frequently overlooked his remarkable achievements, choosing instead to highlight his foreign origins with a critical and dismissive eye. Yet, Clemente silenced the doubters with his extraordinary performance on the diamond. By 1960, he had become a cornerstone of the Pirates, leading them to a thrilling World Series victory with a stunning defensive catch that left spectators breathless and cemented his reputation as a clutch performer. His skill earned him 12 consecutive Gold Glove awards, a record that underscored his unmatched defensive prowess in right field, and he became the first Latin American player to reach the milestone of 3,000 hits in his career, a feat celebrated with immense pride across Puerto Rico and beyond. Off the field, Clemente was beloved for his warmth and generosity, often sending money, clothes, and supplies to families in need back home, his heart as expansive as his talent. This dual role as a sports icon and a pillar of his community would define his final days with profound significance, a testament to the man he had become. The turning point emerged in the late 1970s, a period marked by global challenges and natural disasters that tested the resilience of nations and the compassion of individuals. On December 31st, 1972, a devastating earthquake rocked the Central American nation of Nicaragua, a catastrophe that left tens of thousands homeless, injured, and in desperate need of aid, their lives upended in a matter of seconds by the trembling earth. Roberto Clemente, now 38 years old and at the zenith of his illustrious career with the Pirates, was deeply moved by the suffering he witnessed on television screens, the images of destruction and despair stirring a personal call to action within him. As a committed humanitarian who had already organized numerous relief efforts for his homeland of Puerto Rico, this disaster ignited a fire within him to do more, to make a tangible difference in a time of crisis. He rallied friends, local businesses, and volunteers, collecting food, medicine, clothing, and essential supplies, working tirelessly day and night to ensure the aid would reach those in peril. Yet, he grew increasingly frustrated with reports that much of the assistance was being stalled or diverted due to corruption and mismanagement in the disaster zones. Determined to guarantee the supplies arrive safely to those who needed them most, Clemente made a bold decision to oversee the delivery himself, chartering a small plane for the critical journey across the Caribbean Sea to Nicaragua. The plan was meticulously set for New Year's Eve, 1972, a night that should have been filled with celebration, but instead became a somber milestone in history. Clemente gathered a dedicated team of volunteers, each driven by the same desire to help, and loaded the plane with tons of life-saving supplies boxes of canned goods, blankets, and medical kits stacked high, his heart set on bringing hope and relief to the earthquake victims in Nicaragua. The aircraft, an aging DC-7, was not in pristine condition, its engines showing signs of wear and its maintenance logs raising red flags. But time was of the essence, and Clemente placed his trust in its ability to complete the mission. As he boarded, he turned to wave at the crowd of supporters who had gathered at the San Juan airport to see him off, his smile radiating the same confidence and warmth he brought to every baseball game, a beacon of hope amidst the uncertainty. The plane took off into the dark night sky, its engine straining under the heavy load, a sound that echoed with both hope and foreboding uncertainty. Witnesses later recalled the uneasy feeling that settled over them as the aircraft climbed, the motors faltering in a way that hinted at trouble, a premonition of what was to come. Just a few minutes after takeoff, tragedy struck with a deafening silence that reverberated across the world. The plane crashed into the restless waters of the Atlantic Ocean, claiming the lives of Clemente and everyone on board, a devastating end to a noble endeavor that had begun with such promise. The crash investigation that followed painted a grim and sobering picture, revealing that the plane was dangerously overloaded with supplies and poorly maintained, a decision driven by Clemente's urgent desire to help those in need as quickly as possible. The wreckage sank into the depths of the ocean, and his body was never recovered, lost to the sea in a haunting mystery that left the world searching for closure amidst their grief. The news of his death shocked fans, teammates, and leaders alike, turning a hero's mission into a heartbreaking loss that reverberated across continents. From the streets of Pittsburgh to the villages of Puerto Rico, tributes poured in from every corner, with stadiums falling silent in his honor, flags lowered to half-mast, and newspapers dedicating front pages to his memory, their headlines capturing the collective sorrow. In a fitting tribute to his humanitarian spirit, Major League Baseball renamed its annual charity award the Roberto Clemente Award, a prestigious recognition given to players who mirror his compassion and dedication to helping others. Puerto Rico declared a national day of mourning, its people united in grief, while his legacy grew into a symbol of selflessness that transcended the sport, touching hearts far beyond the diamond. The final flight, though tragic, solidified his status, not just as a vintage star of baseball, but as a global icon whose heart knew no bounds, a man who lived to serve. The impact of Clemente's final flight reaches far beyond the baseball diamond, rippling through time with lasting effects that continue to shape lives. His humanitarian work laid the foundation for organizations in his name, raising millions of dollars to support disaster relief, community projects, and youth programs across the globe, ensuring his mission lives on. The Roberto Clemente Sports City in Puerto Rico stands as a vibrant testament to his vision, offering sports facilities, educational opportunities, and mentorship for underprivileged children, a living legacy of his dream to uplift others. Every year, on December 31st, fans, families, and admirers gather to honor his memory, reflecting on the man who gave his all, their voices rising in songs, prayers, and stories that keep his spirit alive, a tradition that binds communities together. This narrative of a vintage star reminds us that true greatness lies not just in victories won, but in the extraordinary efforts made for the sake of others, a lesson that echoes through the decades, inspiring us to act with kindness and courage. As we wrap up this episode, let's take a quiet moment to reflect on the retro icons who shaped our world with their talent, compassion, and unwavering resolve, leaving footprints for us to follow. Our passion is to keep uncovering these nostalgic stories, shining a light on the vintage stars who left an indelible mark on history with every step they took, their lives a testament to the power of legacy. If you were moved by the final flight of Roberto Clemente, please don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon to join us for more tales of classic legends that await discovery in the chapters of the past. What are your thoughts on his heroic mission? Share your ideas, memories, and reflections in the comments below. We're thrilled to connect with you and build this journey together, one legend at a time. Until next time.